amazing, because I'm going to tell a little bit of a story about Laura. Laura turned 50 just recently, 50 years young. Woo! And Laura believes in goal setting and bucket lists. Who here has bucket lists in life? I do. Laura does. One of Laura's bucket lists was riding a bull.
Bravo, Laura.
Electronic bull. So she rode an electronic bull. Unfortunately, she fell off, which was bound to happen, and she broke her ankle. Was this going to stop her? No. What are the other things in your bucket list, Laura?
Skydiving, which I've done.
Skydiving?
Nothing to do with water.
So, one of the things on Laura's bucket list, this was about 6 months ago that she broke her ankle and she's had to recover. One of the things on her bucket list is she wants to be able to put heels on again. So she's going to do that right now. So bring Laura to the stage.
This is the bad ankle, so this is the first time I'm putting heels on.
Oh my.
All right. Don't tell my physiotherapist.
You got proof.
Now, don't I look sexier with heels on? I certainly do. I miss my heels. I'm such a heel girl. By the way, I did have surgery. I have a plate and 6 screws in there.
Oh.
And I still have a very long recovery, so I can't wait to really wear heels again. Thank you so much. Authors, congratulations. I've been married to many of your husbands, by the way. I think about 3 or 4 husbands of yours I've had. I just want to quickly say thank you so much, Randy and Gordon. I was one of the visitors here about 2-3 years ago, sitting just where you are, and it's really changed my life. I'm an author of 4 books, 2-time international best-selling author, and I've got my own book coming out in September, and then I'm part of 365 Empowering Stories. I'm shaking because I've had a really difficult week, so bear with me. I don't usually shake this much, but there's just a lot going on. In the book Divine Living, Anthon says, if we never experience the chill of a dark winter, it is unlikely that we will ever cherish the warmth of a bright summer's day. Nothing stimulates our appetite for the simple joys of life more than the starvation caused by the sadness or desperation. In order to complete our amazing life journey successfully, it is vital that we turn each and every dark tear into a pearl of wisdom and find the blessing in every curse. I've had every darkness and every curse you can possibly imagine. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is forgiving the man who murdered my daughter's best friend this past weekend and left him on the side of a road bleeding to death. That's my latest darkness. My life started not very well. I wasn't wanted by my father from the time that I was in the womb. I come from a Sicilian background. My father was in the mafia. So what do Italian mafia men want? A boy. He wasn't too happy when I was born. And so my journey started at birth. And my childhood wasn't fun. I saw a lot of abuse towards me and towards my mother. I was emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually, spiritually, financially. I've been abused in all levels that you can imagine. I lived in Italy from the time I was little, back to Canada, so my parents were always back and forth. And when I lived in Italy, between the ages of maybe 5 to 7, I had an old man that would put his tongue in my mouth, that would touch my breasts, would ask me if I wanted ice cream, and then I had another man who would bounce me on his knees. I didn't know what was going on at the time. I knew I didn't feel right, and so when I would go to this girl's house to play and I saw the old man, I'd run away. Growing up, I was that little girl who would hide behind the fridge because my mother was being abused, either with a knife to her chest or with a rifle to her gun, with a rifle to her head. and I would scream and hide. I would hide, and then I would slowly creep out of the house to go get my aunt down the street to save my mother. Eventually, when I was 9 years old, my father murdered my mother in cold blood. He shot her 3 times in the back, and she was lying there. My brother saw her. I was living in Canada with my maternal grandparents. My grandparents rushed to Italy to bury my mom, wouldn't take me there because they didn't know what they would find and what would be going on with my father. They also went to get custody of my sister, who was 5 years younger than I, and my brother, who was 3 years younger. Again, being in the mafia, my father decided that he wasn't going to give up his only son. So my brother ended up staying in Italy with his family. My father only served 4 years in prison. Why? Because the mafia got him out, is my understanding. My childhood was not great because I got into drugs, alcohol from a very young age. My grandparents, who were very, very, very strict and were trying to protect us from the hard world, didn't want us to do anything. So I became that defiant little child. So between the ages of like 10 to 14, I think my first cigarette was at 12 years old. My first marijuana was probably 13. I hope my kids don't see this. I'm just kidding. My daughter can, my son can't. At the age of 15, I met this gorgeous young guy. He was my age. And I fell in love. He was Italian. And I had to hide it for a while because I was Italian. I wasn't allowed to do anything or be with a boy. This young man ended up being physically abusive, punching me in the face, putting a pair of scissors to my neck, and I thought, oh my God, I'm living my mother's life. And so I finally decided to break away from him. And I broke away from him. I was just 17. And shortly after him, I found another man, a blonde man. I'm not even interested or attractive to blonde men. And this man was charming. He called me baby and sweetheart and all that stuff. And so I started dating him for 3 years, but I hated him. He was abusive, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. He wasn't physically abusive, but I stayed with this man, and he met my family when I was 21 years old, told him we were going to get engaged and get married, and I thought, hell no. 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Oh my God, I'm Italian, I can't get married and not have a husband, so I planned a wedding in 3 months. I suffered in like the most serious emotional, mental abuse that any of us could actually go through. And I finally left him. At 29 years old, I found a program that changed my life, and I learned how to forgive. I forgave my father, I forgave my ex-husband, I forgave everybody. Today, I practice and I preach forgiveness. I have suffered a massive depression that almost took my life, and the reason I'm alive and standing here in front of you today is because I kept thinking about my children. I kept thinking, my goodness, what about if I kill myself? I'm going to give them the life that I had without a mother. Today I have, and I have to say, and not because they're my kids, but I truly have 2 of the most amazing, amazing kids in the world. I love them dearly. They still do have an emotionally and mentally abusive dad, but they're dealing with it the way they need to. I went from having $24 in my bank account to making 6-figure income in 6 months. What I want to tell you is this. I never thought that I could be who I am today. And I don't regret and I don't have any resentment over anything that has happened in my life, because God chose me to stand here and share my story, because my story is here to help each and every one of you. I have gone through every single abuse that there is. I've overcome it all. And even though my daughter is going through a major, major sadness right now, Saturday we're going to be celebrating Derek's life. I'm not angry and I'm not resentful towards the man that did it, because he has issues. But I do hope that my daughter can find the forgiveness that she needs to do. And I hope that through my teachings that she will someday understand that she can't carry the anger and the resentment. What I'm here to tell you is, you're sitting here for a reason. We all have a story. I started with my story with my own book a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, and it's going to be published in September. What I want to do is help each and every person that I can to become the greatest people that they are. Because you know what? As Les Brown says, We all have greatness, and you've got to be hungry. And I'm really hungry. I'm really hungry to share my story. I'm hungry to be able to help others. I want to make a movie out of my story. And I think that that's possible because God, every time I turn around, He's doing great things in my life. And I tell you, go to the back of the room, even if it's the 365 empowering stories, it will change your life. Not only will it change your life, you have no idea what your story, as small as it is or as big as it is, like you have no idea who it's going to impact. My story, as sad as it is, but I'm not sad. And some people think, oh my God, how did you forgive a man who murdered your mother? I had no choice. I had to. It saved me. It didn't save him. It changed my life. The day I did that, when I was 29 years old, which is about 21 years ago, 22 years ago, it literally changed my life. I'm not saying that my life has been perfect all these years. I've had my struggles. I continue to have struggles, but I handle them differently. And so, if I can do it, each and every one of you can. Now, I'm not going to attempt to walk off the stage with these heels.
Please don't.
But it sure feels good, doesn't it? Thank you so much.